It's been a fairly eventful week. So, in case you've been just not paying attention to the news or you've been busy or whatever, let me catch you up. In the past week, Congress passed a bill making Juneteenth into a national or a federal holiday. Now, from what I've been able to read up, I haven't seen anything as far as whether or not this is the everyone gets a Monday off except retail kind of federal holiday, or if this is just the banks and post offices kind of federal holiday, or where it'll go along. Like, is this the kind of thing that our nation is going to embrace alongside like a 4th of July or a Christmas, Thanksgiving kind of situation, or if this is going to be more like a whatever, like one of the other various holidays that happens to be out there, that like National Donut Day or all those kind of, like, it's hard to say where this is going to land on the spectrum of how seriously we take it. But I think this is a really good thing. I do not think that it's a bad thing at all. I think that it's um, a serious moment in our country's history, where, if you aren't familiar with the background of that, the Emancipation Proclamation declared all slaves in the southern United States freed, and it took a certain amount of time for that to be implemented effectively, right? So you had the Civil War, and that was being fought. Well, the end of the war was declared, but because of the slowness of communication, the battles of the war continued even after that fact. And so, um, in June 19th, I believe it was 1968, finally the news reached a city called Galveston, Texas, that the that the slaves had been freed. The U.S. Army, or the Federal Army, had reached that city and liberated it from the Confederates, and as a result, the the previously enslaved blacks of that city experienced freedom for the first time, even though they had already been technically, legally freed. They had not experienced actual freedom, their chains being broken, until that moment. And so that's what Juneteenth, June 19th, is, where they celebrate, they recognize, sometimes it's referred to as Black Independence Day or as Freedom Day. And it's important. That's all I'm saying. It is genuinely important. Second thing of note that has occurred in the last week is that the Supreme Court declared that the Philadelphia uh, Catholic Social Services is allowed to deny services to LGBT individuals or couples seeking to adopt through them on the grounds of freedom of religion, First Amendment provisions. They are permitted to. So, background on this is that there had been a controversy in which the city of Philadelphia had revoked its adoption city whatever contracts with Catholic Social Services on the grounds that they were denying, on the basis of discrimination. And so they've been fighting it all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court affirmed Catholic Social Services' right to decline. And of course, there's been a mixed bag. It's Pride Month, and so that's a thing. But simply, if you believe in freedom, you should affirm the Catholic Social Services' right to decline you services, because of the fact you could just go elsewhere. It's the same thing we've been facing with the cakes, the flowers, all that stuff, of just go somewhere else. It's not a problem of competition. There's not an issue of there an entire city is denying services to a specific color or race or anything. It's not like that. It's that one institution is choosing not to. And truly, like if it's really that big of a deal, the market's going to solve that problem on its own. So um, this is a landmark. They did not want it to be a sweeping decision. They wanted that in every instance these things should be reviewed individually. So that's good. Quite frankly, they should be. There are certain organizations that hide behind religious privilege for a court or space for them to practice their otherwise just racist and sexist and whatever it is beliefs, and that's wrong. And then there's certain instances where people are claiming that something's sexist, racist, whatever, when it's not. And that is where freedom of religion and protest and all those things, that's where those things need to be affirmed. So that's the second thing. The third is that this is Father's Day weekend coming up, and it's my first as a dad. And so that's exciting because I've never experienced this before. And so people always ask me, so do you feel different now that you have a child? And I would say, honestly, I don't. Not, like, our lives are still fairly similar to the way they were before. We only have the one child. We don't have multiple. And I know that's the real game changer. So, quite frankly, I'd say, like, it's a good thing. And it's something that I can't help but wonder is since this is Pride Month, does that kind of drown out the emphasis that we should have on Black culture with Juneteenth this month, and then also on Fathers with Father's Day this month? Is it drowning that out? Because my whole life, basically, June was dedicated in the market and everything, marketing strategies, to marketing dad stuff, grills, like tools, right? It was man month. Make sure you get your dad whatever it is that you're going to get him month. And it seems like that's just been kind of steamrolled under rainbow clad everything. And simply, like, dads are a lot more important than sexuality. That's just, dads are a lot more influential in your life than your whatever your gender is. And if you look at a lot of these people that have gender issues, one of the things that comes up in Abigail Schreier's book, which I talked about previously, is that she talks about fatherlessness and its influence on this reality, that a lot of the adolescent girls that identify transgender or transsexual, absent fathers, never met them, hostile relationships with them. And so I can't help but wonder if we are intentionally harming our society in the future by subterfuging the respect, love, adoration, admiration for fathers this month.